Hey everybody, it's Tessa Presto, and I'm back with another series. Um, Before I get started, I just want to say thank you to those who have been listening and giving me feedback. It is much appreciated, and I am doing this to learn myself and share what I've learned. If I can share anything to make anybody's life easier, I'm happy to do it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. So please give me all the feedback. And then I also wanted to point out I'm wearing purple. I've been wearing purple all day, and this is for my friend Jessica and her sweet little daughter Savannah, just for raising MPS awareness. And if you're not sure what that is, go ahead and go to my page and look for my purple picture, and there's a link on there that tells you about it. But this is for her and her family and all the loved ones and everybody else trying to raise awareness and raise funding for research and a cure. This little girl is the sweetest little fighter I've ever met. She's adorable, so go check that out. Okay, so I actually did this a little while ago in my private group, and somebody had commented on something else that I shared, that to make it shareable or change the privacy. And I don't change the privacy in my group because that's the whole deal of it, is private, so that people can share things about their fitness that they may not be comfortable with sharing on their personal page. But I did share that, and I thought, you know what, I could share this as well. So anyway, this tonight is just going to focus on sort of what I call emergency meal planning and prepping. And what I mean by that is when you don't have a lot of time. The reason I like to meal plan and prep is so that we can all have a better week. We can eat healthier, then we can feel better. There's less temptation to go out to eat, and that usually means unhealthy foods for me, and it's more money that we weren't planning to spend. So the better job that I, as the mom, can do with having things ready to go for everyone in the family, the better off we all are. It's not just about me. When I started out, it was pretty much more just me figuring out how I could eat healthy. And eventually it gets to the point where it really has to be it's too hard to just keep doing it on my own. It was more important when I was losing weight that I was able to do that. And yeah, sometimes I had this healthy food and they had frozen pizza. And I didn't want to keep doing that because while my very active teenage boys can handle it, it's still not the best thing for them. We could do better. So over the years, we've grown to where we're trying to all eat the same thing, all eat healthy. And if I don't have something going, I got hungry boys in my house. These boys are gonna go get something. They're gonna take it into their own hands. And so this is a way we can try to just keep it right. But I don't always love sitting down meal planning. I don't love to be in the kitchen all the time. I do enjoy it, but not as much as some people. And so what was happening is sometimes I'd be intimidated by the whole big process and really just put it off enough to where I wasn't doing it. And then it was just kind of a domino effect into the week, without being set up for success through the meal planning and prepping. There's just too much temptation around. If you know me at all, this is what I do. This is no good. We keep this around. I have tried to phase out this so much, but these boys have let me take away cold cereal. They have let me change a lot, but they will not give up their Wonder Bread. And I like the stuff, So if I'm not planned and prepped and have some healthy options, I'm taking peanut butter and putting it on there and calling it a snack or a meal. It's not good for me. My body cannot handle that much Wonder Bread and peanut butter. It's just not right for me. So anyway, this is kind of an emergent situation. So this weekend was Mother's Day weekend. We, went out and had some fun, and we made it a point though to stop at the grocery store and get ready for the week. because if I let it cut into Monday, I can, because I do work from home, so I can completely do it on Monday, but it's just sort of that, it pushes everything back. So the more we can get done on the weekend, the better off we all are. So this is kind of how I go about it when it's quick and easy. And later on this week, I'm going to talk more about meal planning and prep. There are many different styles, and I'll go into a little bit more. I just wanted to show you that it can be done without too much planning and effort, and it'll still help set you up for a better week. And I'll throw a few tips out there at the end. Okay, so in this situation, the first thing I want to do is take a little bit of inventory. If I'm home, I can physically go into the refrigerator, the pantry, the freezer. I generally know what's in there. I try not to keep a lot of excess anymore. You know, I'm a recovering hoarder, including food, but I try not to, because I try to keep everything more fresh and make it usable. And it's just easier to get at stuff if there's not tons of things in there. So I take inventory, whether it's physical or mental. If it's physical, I like to have my little notepad and I write everything down so I don't forget anything. But if it's mental, if we're out and about, this is like the true emergency rush situation for shopping and planning and prepping. So I think of in terms of both meals and food groups, macronutrients. So first thing we always do is the easiest. We think about the boys' lunches for school. And I like to let them pick a theme for the week so that they take responsibility and they will enjoy it. I used to get a lot of food back or given away, and we don't really have that issue anymore. So, but I do make them stick to one thing for the week, for their breakfast and their lunches. So they might say, okay, I might say, you want to do peanut butter jelly this week? We have plenty, and they'll say yes. Or do you want a meat sandwich? And we'll just go from there. And then they know that's what they have, whether I'm making it in the morning or they are, we're all on the same page. And then we get a fruit and a vegetable for them. And they usually, Jesse likes baby carrots, Justin likes celery. We get that. They have to put it in their lunch. They pick a fruit. It's usually we let them pick when it's in the rush. Like this week, we got bananas and we got 2 kinds of apples, and they eat the crap out of these. My kids love fruit. So they put that in their lunch, and then I let them go pick something fun. You know, they can go get some crackers or chips or whatever. They can put that in, they grab it, and we're good to go. And then sometimes it's either Gatorade water or they like these Izzy's. We like to keep a rotation because I find that they get less bored that way and they're more likely to eat everything. And then we talk breakfast. If I know what I want them to eat, they don't get the choice. If I know I want to make protein pancakes, or if I got a new breakfast recipe thing I want to try, or if I want them to eat eggs, we do that. But otherwise, they will pick. This week, we just said, go grab some instant oatmeal. I like to have things that they can do, whether I have prepped them ahead of time or they just go for it. So they each picked out the kind that they like, and we're good to go. So then the same, like when it comes to Shane and I, then it's a little bit different. Like we don't really say, okay, this is for breakfast. We actually tend to kind of have the same things all the time, so that makes it easy. But so then after that, I think in terms of the food groups. And so I'm going to think protein, okay? So then I just think usually for this, I like to stick to 1 or 2 or 3, because otherwise, I believe it or not, I end up making too much. And so we're at the store, we want it to be quick. So this week we got chicken breasts and chicken thighs, and Shane just grilled them up. A little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper, just put them on the grill. And then those are good for a few days. I'm not a huge fan of reheating chicken. I'm really picky on my dry chicken, but I've got all these tricks. Maybe I can share that another day on how to keep it a little moist and where I like it better. But that makes it quick and easy. The boys everybody can just grab and go. And I don't put it into little containers. I just kind of put it in the big thing. And then we went with ground turkey this week because I had it last week and it was so good. It was actually able to keep and stay yummy all week long. So I wanted to do the same thing again. We got more of it. And then now this is a little more interesting because our tastes in it are different. So I sauteed it up in a little bit of olive oil. It was very lean. And then I divided it in half and treated it 2 different ways. So for the boys, I had some leftover fresh broccoli. I steamed it and I chopped it up. And then, oh my, Luana! Okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna try to focus. Girl, I love you, I miss you. Oh my gosh, so much. Thank you. Okay, now I gotta focus. You better message me later. Okay, so this is for the boys. I did white rice and minimal seasoning and the broccoli because I got one who likes to put a little soy sauce on it. He can do his thing. And the other one's really into barbecue sauce. I don't think he's gonna put it on that, but then they can kind of customize it to their taste more. And this really, rice typically I find, I don't like to do it, prep too much out. It doesn't really heat up well. But for this, when we have some other things in it, it works better. And then what I did for Shane and I, garlic, lots of spices. I had some celery and some red bell peppers that needed to be done. So I chopped them up. We got onions. And I even threw in a little bit of collard greens, which I'll show you later. But then I sauteed this up separately. And then this could be the basis for several things. And then we had some canned tuna. So that's always a good backup. And I have leftover chopped bell pepper and the celery and the onions that will go into it really nicely too. So that's one food group. We kind of got that covered, and that could be breakfast, lunch, dinner, lunch, and sometimes even breakfast. Can be really versatile. So then I would say, okay, let's talk about the carbs. All right. And so, and the cabinet, I'm usually going to have some maybe quinoa or some rices, some pasta. Just depends on what we want to do. So this week, this is what I often do. I love sweet potatoes. They're so versatile. I can steam them up, roast them up, bake them, and they're great. I use them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner sometimes. And then this week, I found a purple sweet potato, which I thought was really cool. I'm always game for something different. So that's that. And then I also had, I had some brown rice. I only had a cup of it. And I cooked it today, the whole thing, and it was I had it in my lunch. It was a little bit underdone, so I tried to cook it again and I forgot about it and I completely burnt it. So I lost my rice, but I have some quinoa, and then I also have, where is it? We have some millet. That's probably what I'll make up instead. And then we got a bunch of these. This is real quick and easy for Shane and the boys. Maybe not the healthiest thing, but it's better. It's better than Taco Bell. That's for sure. So anyway, and then that's that category. And then, so veggies, I had some fresh ones, like I said. I usually like to get fresh, but it depends on where I'm shopping, and didn't really have a lot where I was the other day. So we ended up getting a bunch of frozen ones. With frozen, you just look to make sure it's just the vegetable. You don't want the sauces. And I love having those on hand because they don't go bad and they're so versatile. And they actually, in my mind, sometimes they're probably more fresh than the fresh, depending on the processing, because they can process them and freeze them right away. Whereas sometimes the fresh is not so fresh. And it also, you don't have to worry about it going bad. So that's a way you can guarantee of always having it. And so actually that's what I think Shane or the boys did this. I was teaching tonight, so they ate dinner on their own, which is great because I know it was healthy because they were able to, grab everything and go. And I think they got chicken. They ate the last of the thighs, which is a bummer because I like them better. But so yeah, then they just cook this up, and I cook it right in this, and we can leave it in there until they're done using it. So and then I know we got a bunch of those bags where they just, you steam them up. So that's always one good option. And then we also, like I said, I had the leftover broccoli. And so before it goes bad, I steam that up, and that could be used in anything. I could use that in breakfast, lunch, or dinner. The boys like it. And then we ended up buying some baby carrots along with the frozen vegetables because, like I said, I make the boys take a vegetable they pick in their lunch. And then I like to try something new all the time. And I had seen a recipe for using collard greens as wraps. And so I bought a thing of collard greens. I took out the stems. I Googled real quickly how to do it. And the advice was actually to just submerge it in boiling water for 30 seconds and then put it in an ice bath, and it was perfect. And so this, I also read this should stay prepped up for the whole week. So for a whole week, I have wraps to wrap whatever I want. The tuna, the turkey, whatever. Today I did the brown rice and some of my ground turkey, and it was great. I could do that with the millet, Okay, so then fruit, moving on. So I already said real easy this week. The bananas, the apples, we like to get what's fresh and in season. It usually tastes a little better and it's a little less expensive. I really like to get my some more fruit at Costco. We didn't go to Costco, so we just kind of grabbed 2 kinds of apples, the bananas, and done with it. I also love to keep a big bag of frozen berries in the freezer, or any kind of frozen fruit, because it's great for smoothies. And I love it just even for a snack. Like I like to take it out and let it sit for a little bit. I used to take it in my lunch when I worked, and by snack time or lunchtime, it was just so perfect. It's like a little popsicle almost, you know, with a little imagination. I love the cherry berry blend. That's my favorite, but it's really versatile, and then it's not gonna go bad. It's just in the freezer to be available all the time. Okay, so then we covered that healthy fat. You gotta think about that. So if the avocados look good, I always want to keep some avocados around. A lot of times they don't, so I don't get them. Hummus is my go-to for that. I always like to have some hummus around. I actually used the last one today. That's another thing I get at Costco because I need to be controlled in my hummus serving. So hummus is one of the areas where I go for single serving so that I can control it. Otherwise, I'll probably sit and call half a tub a serving when it's really supposed to be, you know, like 6 servings. And that's another tip for even if there's something that you kind of is a trigger, or that you know you're gonna eat too much of it. I don't usually like that individual wrapping because it's kind of a waste of money, and it's usually more expensive, but sometimes it's worth it if it's gonna help you stay a little healthier. And then I usually always have some kind of nuts and seeds around. So these are sunflower seeds. They're great for adding texture to a salad or any kind of dish. We got some pumpkin seeds, and always have, I have walnuts. Those are just kind of staples that you can use for that. I always have different oils. I always have coconut oil and olive oil, all different kinds of oils. We got the peanut butter for some more fat. You want to be careful with serving size. Oh, and I think I forgot to sand vegetables. Unless I did, I also took the bell pepper and the celery, and I had some jicama and did that. So that's great for snacking too. Okay, and then that's pretty much it. I think I covered everything. Like I said, this is just kind of the first, just to show you what we actually did this week. And the reason we do it, like I said, is just to set us up for a better week in general. With less temptation, less going out to eat, and healthier eating for everybody in the house. This is sort of like a mommy investment to help us all. So it helps me and it helps them, because if they have food at their fingertips, they are going to eat here instead of somewhere else most of the time. And they're also going to turn to, I'm always like, oh my gosh, I'm always driving the boys crazy because I say, if something's in a package like a protein bar, or I say, that's not for eating in the house. We pay the extra for the packaging and the convenience. You can eat like real food when it's in the house. However, it's not like most of the time they're gonna go grill up a piece of chicken or anything like that. Oh, the other thing is eggs. Eggs are great. These are actually eggs from our chickens. We're so lucky we have that. But almost all the time, especially if I don't have other proteins, I'm gonna have some hard-boiled eggs around because we all eat them. I'm really glad the boys eat them, and I love them to try to get the protein. And sometimes the protein is easy for me to get in, and sometimes it's harder. It's the hardest thing to get in for me when I'm not prepped. It's the easiest thing to get in for me when I'm prepped. Another tip for all this is it can be really overwhelming when you're trying to think of doing it all at once. If you're kind of new to it, there's nothing wrong with just prepping out a few days or prepping out one meal. You know, think of that one meal that is really the one where you struggle on. For me, it was definitely when I was working up at the base. I mean, I was just going out to eat, and you know, I thought like, oh, I'm having a salad. Well, it was big enough to serve 5 people, and there's probably like 1,000 calories in this Asian sesame dressing. And even though I put it on the side, it wasn't good. So that was one of my first meals that I tried to prep out a little bit. And I started taking salads, and I used to just hate making my own salads. And my mom actually helped me enough, and she's like the salad queen. And I finally picked up some tips on how to make a good salad. So that was one of my first steps. So, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It just has to be something that will help you. And then as you practice more, you'll get better and better and want to do more. Some of you might not like repetition, so you change it up. Some of you might not like to cook. So you just got to do what works for you. And this really isn't for everybody. But I just wanted to give you kind of a little window inside what I do. I certainly don't do this every week. I certainly should, but I'm in a good mood and I'm happy because this really is going to mean a better week for all of us, because it is a domino effect. Whatever we're doing here in the kitchen and feeding ourselves, as stubborn as I can be about it, I know that it has that effect on everything else throughout the day and the week. It makes a really big difference. So anyway, thank you for listening. I hope that you found something helpful. If you have any questions about it, please reach out to me, send me a message, drop a comment. I really would love your feedback as I plan for this week. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them either in a comment or message, because I can focus what I'm doing on answering your questions. All right, have a great night and have a great week. Thank you for listening. Bye.